All right, all right. Slow day in news today. We all know that. Good luck finding something to talk about today as we go live across every single platform, just like we always do right here. We are going to be talking today about two things because, frankly, everything else that we could find was about as boring as we could possibly imagine in the news. There's just nothing that we could find that was worth talking about in the slightest. I mean, just go to your Apple feed right now. I mean, we're talking again about the Iran war. Of course, we're talking about Trump doing something else. We're talking about some Supreme Court case against Steve Bannon. I mean, these seem like you could rewind 3 years ago, and pretty much we got the same exact headlines. It feels like everywhere we go, Anthony. Um, Gosh, immigrant crisis. I mean, it's just the same stuff on repeat. So there were two stories that we felt that were worth covering. The first is because we live here in the state of Florida, hurricanes. We work with a lot of contractors here, and hurricanes are a big deal. Hurricanes come through the states. They come through a lot. I mean, we all know that Louisiana's been crushed. Florida been crushed lately. All of Texas, everyone on the coastline. But one of the things that I always complain about is how the heck can we not get more accurate? How do we not have hurricane trackers at this point in technology that can accurately depict where a hurricane is going to hit? We're 4 days out, and we have like a cone of uncertainty that's 200 miles long. So I saw this article, and I'm going over to it. Let me see if it'll come up right now. But it was a new hurricane tracker, and I'm like, okay, finally, some good news that I see right here. Maybe we're actually going to get a little bit better, I don't know what you would call accuracy, just like what you would expect in a world of AI like we have. You might be able to track where the hurricane's going to go. Nope, not so fast. You're not actually going to get any clearer of an idea. The cone of uncertainty, that BS cone that it sends, it's still going to be there where nobody understands. But now what they're going to do is on the side of the cone, they're going to identify where a hurricane warning and a hurricane watch is. And they're just going to highlight them in red and yellows so that you understand that your area is under a watch or it's under a warning. Where it's going to hit, the cone doesn't change at all. They're still going to have this BS cone. No one's going to know what it means. And we're still going to be left with, am I going to be hit or am I not going to be hit by this hurricane 2 days out from the hurricane ever arriving? I've said before that if I was going to go back and do anything, it'd be a weatherman, because you don't ever have to be right. All you do is assign a probability to everything. 50% chance of rain today. Well, it's 50-50. I mean, I did tell you 50-50. And when it comes to hurricanes, especially in Florida, I know any of the coastal states where you've had to deal with this, there is nothing more frustrating than constantly having to deal with the uncertainty of hurricanes and where they're going to go. And you would think that with all the technology we have and research and everything that's put into hurricanes every single year, that we would be able to get them right 48 hours from when they touch land. No, we can't. And it's not going to get any better. I got so excited for this darn story. I started writing down notes until I realized nothing's going to change. Yep. We have zero changes to what we're doing, except we're going to put some nice yellows and reds around the cone of uncertainty that nobody in the world understands, but it gives the National Weather Association or hurricanes, whatever association it is, a way out and to say, we can't predict where this is going. So let's just make a 200-mile cone and say that it's going to go somewhere around in here. So govern yourself accordingly. It makes absolutely no sense, Anthony. I was so frustrated when I saw this because I really thought this was going to be the story of the day. I was like, this is great. We're going to get a new way to track hurricanes. And finally, after all the research that goes into it, maybe now when somebody's going to get hit with a hurricane, we can know 48 hours. And it's going to be a direct hit right here in Tampa. Not it's going to be a direct hit in Tampa. And then it hits Naples. Yeah. It makes no sense.
I always love seeing those like spaghetti models. And it's like, they're all generally the same. And then you just have that one outlier that just goes like randomly just somewhere. It's like, what is that one doing?
I don't have a clue.
It makes no sense with all these.
It's so true. That's actually a really good point, bro. I couldn't agree with you more. When I look at that, those spaghetti models, again, it just seems to me like a way that if you're a weather service provider, I don't know what you call it, a weatherman, a weatherwoman, that it's just your way out. There's so many ways out. Just tell me where the thing is going and put your name behind it. And people are like, well, there's so many variances that can, affect it. Yeah, I get it. But you're talking about people trying to prepare for a storm. And after all the stuff and time and energy and resources and all the people that it affects every single year with hurricane trackers, they're no more accurate, in my opinion, now than they were 10 years ago. I look at this stuff and I go, nah, what does it say? It's 10 days out? That means absolutely nothing. It can be a week out. And I'm still kind of like, still doesn't mean much to me, because I've seen where it was supposed to hit Tampa and it hits 200 miles south and it just destroys outside of Naples. This is something that, for me, I wish it was better. Wish I had more news. Hurricane cone of uncertainty will continue for another hurricane season, as Floridians and everybody that could be affected by hurricanes will continue to be upset by it.
Did you ever heard about like the Waffle House like hurricane
No.
thing? So if like a Waffle House closes, that's how you know it's going to be a bad hurricane. Usually it's open like during hurricanes.
I like that.
But when it's closed, you're like, oh shoot, now I got to buckle up.
The one thing I agree with that. The other thing when it comes to hurricanes, I have to admit, I never quite do understand quite that much, is like where people are filling up their bathtubs with water. Like I've never quite gotten that in the last few years. Like because we're inland, we're in Orlando. We're not on like a coastal city, right? The likelihood of the inland of Florida and a Category 3 hurricane flooding to a point where there's just going to be no water, everybody, and we're just going to be like, we need to drink out of our bathtubs at this point. Come on, it ain't happening. I get the fact that you want to get water in case like something is like bottled and stuff, like in case you can't get to the grocery stores for a few days, and I understand that. But it feels like every time we have a hurricane that we're expecting like World War III around here. And every single time in the center of Orlando, we've been hit a trillion times and we're just fine. Now, if you're in a coastal city, you're in St. Pete over on the west coast of Florida. If you're like in Destin, now that's where something I can understand where you want to prepare a little bit more. But when it comes to hurricane season and people start just, I need to get all the mac and cheese I can get, and like are acting like they're going to be in their house for weeks on end and no food or supplies is coming to them in Orlando, it's made zero sense to me. It always will make zero sense. We've only got a few more minutes, and I want to get to this story because it is relevant right now. As we film this, everybody, it is 2:54 in the afternoon, which means that 9 minutes ago, all right, we have the astronauts, part of the Artemis II, that began observing the moon's surface. For the next about 5 hours, they are going to be doing a lot of observations around the moon. And this was the thing that I found just crazy. They are going to be further at 7:02 p.m. Eastern time. They'll be further away from Earth than any human has ever traveled before. We're talking 252,000 miles, I think is what I read right here. They'll be on the other side of the moon. And for all my conspiracy theorists, they will lose satellite contact. They will lose communication with NASA for 40 minutes on the other side of the moon. I can only imagine what kind of the conspiracy theorists are thinking during that time. But like I said, just about 10 minutes ago, as we filmed this, they began observing the moon's surface. They're further away than anybody has ever been in the history of humankind. What I don't understand about this is, why are we not getting pictures of moon landings, nodules, whatever? For all our people who think we never went to the moon, I feel like this would be a great opportunity to snap some photos while we're up there, show that, hey, we were there, and that here's the stuff that where it was. I don't think it's moved, so pretty sure we could do that. Little disappointed I haven't heard more from NASA about that. I don't know if they're going to continue doing it, or they're going to be taking pictures of like where we landed previously. I mean, seems to be that's a pretty big controversy. We might want to put that one to bed right now. This entire story, though, it's gone pretty smooth for the past week. They're about halfway through this mission. And from what I could gather in reading about this, the biggest controversy has really been the toilet on board. They were trying to use a toilet that now, I guess, was some kind of private toilet, and it's not working that well. But big picture, this seems to be about as flawless of a mission as what you can imagine. And it really leads me to believe, like, as flawless as this has been, and I don't want to try to demean it because I'm too stupid to understand all the details that have gone into this, but it sure as heck feels like, kind of like we just, out of nowhere, this mission came up. All of a sudden, we're further away than we've ever been before, and we're coming right back, and we're planning on being back up there in a couple of years to land on the moon again. where was this in the 90s, early 2000s, early 2010s? It seems like out of nowhere, we all, okay, yeah, sure, let's go back.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe the aliens got together with us and they said, hey guys, we're good. We're gonna dip out of the moon on the other side now. Y'all can come back. I don't know what it is, but we just have all of a sudden just made a big push for the moon. I didn't even think about this at all. And boom, we are involved in the moon now. To think that we are further away than we've ever been before, I think it's a beautiful thing for America in a time where everybody can find something that with every story that is negative, that is somehow, I don't know how to put it, exclusionary or not good or otherwise, negative about our country or about an achievement. This seems to be about as pretty clear as what it comes, where 99.99% of sane people know that this is a good thing, and we are doing really good work by getting up there and doing that. We'll see. I mean, we got another week, but there's not a lot of controversy right there. And like I said, I mean, I wish that we had more to kind of, talk about today. But when you look through this, I mean, trending stories right now are pathetic, Anthony. 10 things you should never clean with disinfecting wipes. Morgan Stanley reveals the biggest wealth killer. Okay. There's some kind of 185-mile drive in North America's prettiest national parks. If you're over 40, you might want to do this next time you climb the stairs. These are the trending stories that we're looking at right now in the news. It is a dead time. And we also right now, I'm going to tell you because we got to get going. I had a meeting coming up here. We're in the worst time of sports coming up. We're about to hit it. If everybody knows, we are about to hit the worst time in sports all year long. I want you to think about it. The Masters is about to go down. Once the Masters ends, we have the worst month of sports that there is all year long. What is going to be going on? NBA doesn't matter. All right. Baseball is gone. Football is gone. Baseball doesn't matter because it's going into spring training, maybe at the back end of that month. There is nothing going on in sports, and we're about to hit the absolute worst time in sports. It's the worst 3 weeks of sports that you can imagine. March Madness is over. There is going to be zero to get excited about after the Masters. The Masters is like the end of every season for me when it comes to sports. And now we get a 3-week lull, and then we get to get back into a little bit of like some NBA that matters. And then you kind of start to get into some stuff with baseball starting back up in some spring. But right now, nothing at all. After the Masters, mark my words, everybody just go into hibernation when it comes to sports because there will be nothing to watch for 3 weeks. All right, I got to jump to a meeting right now. It's about 3 o'clock. I'll see y'all next time. See you tomorrow. Slow day in news. Hope for some better stuff tomorrow. See what happens.